Yeah. Spirit is in the room. Thank you, Christine. That's awesome. Good morning again. It's such a joy to be here with you. Thank you so much for coming out in the rain on this dreary day and coming out. And there's a lot of light in here. So I'm so grateful. So I always start with a little story to get this going. So there was a senior couple that went to see the doctor because they were worried that they were not remembering things. And they were worried about their memory, and the doctor said, well, you just need to write things down. Make sure you write things down. So that night, the wife said to the husband, would you get me a bowl of vanilla ice cream? And he said, sure, I'll do that. And she said, do you want to write that down? He goes, no, I got this. So he gets up and she said, well, wait, I want a bowl of vanilla ice cream with whipped cream on it. And he's okay. And she goes, wait, do you want to write that down? He goes, no, I got this, I got this. And then he's just about to leave and she says, wait, I want a bowl of vanilla ice cream with whipped cream and a cherry on it. Do you want to write that down? He goes, no, I got this. So he leaves for the kitchen and he's gone a long time. And she's kind of wondering where he is. And he finally comes back and he hands her a plate of scrambled eggs and bacon. And she takes the plate and she says, where's the toast? Go in a room, what was I supposed to get? So my topic today is the secret mantra. So I'll be sure to tell you what the secret mantra is. But I want to share a quote from Michael Singer, the author of Contented Soul. He says, as we pass through life, everything we experience comes in and through our senses and leaves an impression on our minds and hearts. If these experiences are neutral, they come in, they make enough impression for us to experience them, and then they simply pass through. However, if we give mental impressions power because we fear them or desire them, then they stay and they're trapped in the mind. But they don't stay on their own power. They stay because we keep them, we hold them inside ourselves. So in other words, there's events happening all the time throughout the day. But if we hold them, then those experiences are trapped in the mind and we have a lot of energy. What we know is thoughts lead to emotions, and emotions dictate our actions. So to live an empowered life is to have an awareness of our thoughts and our emotions so we can begin to manage them, so we can be aware of them and not react, but take action with them. And if you notice, the world is vying for your attention. Right? Advertisers spend over $240 billion annually on advertising. They hire specialists to know how to tap in to get your energy going. They have people that study the brain and how to make you choose something, how to purchase something. They use tactics to activate our emotions because they know emotions dictate our actions. If they can get you to feel something, they know you're more likely to do something and you are even more likely to buy something, right? And even better, if they can get you to feel fear, they especially want fear, and that's what the media does. The media keeps us going with breaking news and a crisis. They name everything with a crisis name. And fear-based advertising can increase product recall by up to 30%. So the news media, candidates running for office, Hallmark, all appeal to your fear and your emotions. Reminding you better not forget your mother's birthday or Mother's Day, right? So the list goes on, because thoughts lead to emotions and emotions lead to actions. But we can shift our emotions from fear to faith, from a low vibration to high vibration. It's up to us with what we do. We all know what we don't, right? There's something that we don't want. We could write lists and lists of what we don't. But what we want to focus on is what we do want. Notice if you are wanting something out of fear or out of faith. So back when COVID happened and we didn't know what was going on, I have a lot of that. Is that better?
Want me to turn that?
Yeah, just a little bit. When COVID happened, we were worried about everything, right? And one of the things we were worried about is the air that we breathe. And so they recommended buying an air purifier. So I bought an air purifier because I didn't want to get COVID. Well, after it was over, I kept the air purifier, but I kept it because I wanted clean air. I wanted my home to feel fresh. So I did it out of love. I did it out of joy. I wasn't doing it out of fear anymore. And I like that HEPA filter. It's a little workhorse, cleaning the air all the time. So think about it. If you say you want a new car because I'm afraid that my car is going to break down, we're doing that out of fear. But what if we switch that around and said, I want a new car because I love the freedom of going wherever I need to go. I love the joy of transporting my friends and family. So then we're seeing it out of joy. We're making a choice out of joy. If you want a new job because you don't like your current one, we're making a decision in a low vibration. But what if you were to say, I'm open and receptive to a new creative expression in my life? That's out of joy, right? That's out of happiness. That's out of love. That's out of a higher vibration. Emma Curtis Hopkins is the teacher's teacher, as you've heard me talk about her before, and you know, she was the teacher that taught the Fillmores and Ernest Holmes and many of the New Thought teachers. And she says, the word you speak is the word of God in action. Do not limit it, do not weaken it with idle chatter or denial of power. Stand in the freedom of truth and let your word go forth as the very word of the Almighty. Yeah, pay attention to words. Our thoughts and our words have power. So we know in the teaching from Emma and the Fillmores, there's a presence and power for good, right? That this presence is everywhere, including in me. And I have the power to connect. So, but just like the wife in the story I told, how quickly we forget, right? We can know this clearly today, and we walk out, and somebody cuts us off in traffic, and what happens? We go back to our old way of thinking. So, I don't know about you, putting Post-it notes on mirrors, on the computer, writing, keeping notes in my phone. All these things are reminders. What are my affirmations? What are my intentions? What do I need to remember today? So we can know the theory. We can know the theory of knowing that there's a presence and a power. But ours is the practice to learn to live in fear, to live that each day, to know I am that presence, to affirm that in my daily prayers, to affirm that in my meditation. I know that there is a power for good, and I am this power. I am one with this power. And that's part of our spiritual practice. Our spiritual practice is to stay connected in that power. And so with prayer, with meditation, with chanting, taking classes, conscious breathing, all of those are reminders of our oneness with the divine. It's our reminder. And I say there's two types of practice. That there's two types of practice. And the first is devotion. When we have devotional practice, that's when we meditate, we concentrate, we bring in the divine. When we journal, we journal and let go of anything and keep our oneness. In meditation, with chanting, that's our devotion when we're connecting with the divine. But there's another practice, and that is, we call it practice or spiritual exercise. That's when we're changing our thinking and changing our speaking. Because Ernest Holmes said, change your thinking, change your life. So that's when we actively take a role in changing our thinking. You know, those old beliefs, I'm not enough, I am limited, I can't excel, I can't do that. It's all embedded in the subconscious mind. So we have to actively do something to change them. And I'm going to share some techniques with you today. And then in our class, I will share affirmative prayer and some other techniques. That would be really helpful. So we have the choice to either be in pain or be in practice. We can stay. So imagine if someone pushes your button, not that ever happens. If someone pushes your button, what practice do you use? If you don't, or if you don't receive something you wanted, what do you tell yourself? Do you blame? Do you criticize? Do you complain? Our goal is to have tools that we can address any issue going on in our lives. And we live in a world right now where there's a lot going on. And if we react, we're adding to that vibration. But if we respond, we hear something. What I'm trying to do personally is when I hear something, I go into prayer. So I know that there's a power for good. And that right here, where this situation is in this city, I know there's a power for good, and that's God, and it's being activated right now. So I can go into prayer. And if I go into it, my immediate response is, that's terrible. But then to get myself out of it, okay, I don't like what I'm seeing, and I know there's a power for good. So see if you can remember that and practice that you shift it from the pain to the power. You shift it from the low vibration to the high vibration. Michael Singer says, the world cannot wound us. The world can't wound us. The world is an experience that comes to us, and we learn and grow from it. If it has wounded us, it's because we've resisted the experience and we held it inside. If it's no longer going on outside, why is it still creating a disturbance inside? Because we did not let it go. You're right. And it's one of the biggest challenges is to let it go. So it's the small stuff that gets to us, right? It's the little stuff that gets to us. So a few years ago, I was staying at a resort in the Bahamas. And I was standing in line for the Lazy River water ride. So this is a water ride where you get on an inner tube and it takes you down this river and around this little area. It's really lovely. So we're waiting in line, and two women in front of me, they started complaining. Why isn't this ride open? It's 10 o'clock. They said it was going to be open at 10. And it's 5 after 10 and it's not open. And I was listening to them. I started chuckling to myself, and I went, here we are in this magnificent place, and we're waiting for a water, and they're upset because it's late. And I thought, I was a little judgy. Well, aren't they interesting? And then I went, uh-oh, I've been complaining. I've been complaining that it was too cold inside, that it was too hot outside, that it was very humid. I was complaining, I was finding things to complain about. I caught myself. As I was judging somebody else, I said, oh, I've been doing the same thing. So we want to, and I heard myself, oh my gosh, is that what I sound? I will apologize to my husband. Sorry. Here's what Emma Curtis Hopkins says. Complaining and whining are only exhibitions of great desert spots in your character. Yikes. You must fill up deserts with rain and fertilizer. So you must transform your moments of complaining by praise and descriptions of the good of the universe. Isn't that great? So complaining and whining don't get us anywhere. They just lower the vibration. They bring us down. They don't lift us up. But if we can shift that with filling up those desert spots with rain and fertilizer, with words of affirmation, with words of energy, with words of good, that's what shifts it. And research shows that most people complain once a minute during a conversation. Wow, not everyone. And complaining is tempting because it feels good. But there's a lot of things that are enjoyed, like eating a quart of Ben and Jerry ice cream. But it's not good for us. But we want to do it, but it's not good for us. Complaining, it's not good. It's not going to help us. And it's like a virus that invades our thinking. Because once you see that, well, I don't like this, and I don't like that either, and that wasn't done right, we start seeing everything that's wrong. So it's like a virus that invades. So we have to stop it as soon as we see it.
I control others on the effect.
Yeah.
And here's what happens to the brain. When you complain, the brain develops neural pathways. And so the more we do it, the deeper those neural pathways are that are formed. And the brain loves efficiency. And it doesn't like to work any harder than it wants to. So when there's those neural pathways that are there of complaining, it just deepens them. And it has us slip into those. So it makes it much easier to just go to the place that we're used to. But that's why we do spiritual practice, because it gives us the opportunity to create new neural pathways. There's new neural pathways that are being created that are with affirmations that are for good. So we can't blame the brain. We can work on creating those new neural pathways, so we're creating new habits. So those new habits of affirmation, those new habits of sending good energy, of thinking good things, we can create that, and that becomes the new. Scientists describe the process of neurons that fire together, wire together. So the way to get around it again is to create the new neural pathways. So Emma Curtis Hopkins tells us, don't complain. You will feel less spiritual inspiration when you are mourning, whining, and complaining. But when you praise and describe the good you feel, you will feel good of spiritual fervor. Wouldn't you like to feel spiritual fervor and inspiration?
Yeah.
I know I would. And so the secret mantra that she shares is to praise everything. That rather than looking at what's not working, what can I praise? And praising is another way. This is a month of gratitude. Praising is another way to express gratitude. So find the good in a situation. Give thanks for the opportunity. Acknowledge the experience you're having, whatever it is, acknowledge the experience that I can't change the conditions out there, but I can change my reaction to them. And so praising everything is not a spiritual bypass. We're not avoiding what's happening, but we're finding the good in it. Because when we're able to praise things and lift up that energy, we're able to change and shift into love and raise our vibration into love. So the universal principle says, whatever I put my attention on increases. So what we want to do is find a way to put our attention on all that what we can do, those things that increase our energy, that increase the presence of love, that increase the presence of life. So this is a practice, and I've shared this before with you, but this is the month of Thanksgiving, and I always think this is a good reminder for this practice. And it's called the praising prayer. And it was taught by my teachers, Rev Marcia Sutton and Rev quite strong. And it's based on Emma's teaching that whenever we praise, we change the energy, we change the vibration of it, we change the frequency of it. So we can praise something, we raise it up. And that there's a posture that goes along with it. And so I praise you, I raise you in the name of God. And so I praise something. This is the universal posture for prayer. And I raise you up. When we raise up into a higher frequency in the name of love when we touch our hands. So you can do this for yourself. You can do this for circumstances in your life. You can do this for others. So let's do this together. Let's start with my life. I praise my life. I raise my life in the name of love. My body. I praise my body. I raise my body in the name of love. My finances. I praise my finances. I raise my finances in the name of love. My family. I praise my family. I raise my family in the name of love. So as we're praising, we're doing this action not only with our voice, but with our posture at the same time. And there's an energy that's being created, and that vibration that's being created, and we're sending that out. So again, you can do it for yourself. I've done it for body parts that aren't working as well. You know, you have a knee that hurts or a shoulder that hurts. I praise my knees. I raise my knees in the name of love. Do it for loved ones in your life that are going through, just like we do, I hold the light with you. You can raise and praise them. Same thing. So, and when you do it for someone else, you are praising them. You are knowing for yourself and them, you're lifting the energy. So it's not that you're trying to fix them, but you're lifting the energy for yourself and knowing that you're lifting the energy for them. So let's do that together one more time. So let's see, I did a lot of this. Let's see, call out, what would you like to praise?
Health.
Health. I praise my health. I raise my health in the name of love. Peace. I praise my peace. I raise my peace in the name of love. Compassion. I praise my compassion. I raise my compassion in the name of love. Congress. I praise our Congress. I raise my Congress in the name of love.
Companionship.
I praise companionship. I raise companionship in the name of love. Our country. I praise our country. I raise my country in the name of love.
Unity of Beaverton.
I praise Unity of Beaverton. I praise Unity of Beaverton in the name of love. And let's end. I praise my rural. I raise my rural in the name of love. So when we raise and praise, in that higher vibration of love, we are shifting ourselves. So practice this month and see what happens. Try it out. Do it for several days for yourself or for another, and pay attention and see what happens. But what I know is that you are here, we are here together to serve. Not only are we helping ourselves, but we are changing the vibration